Listen, the message today is one that's not coming from my earth self because it's kind of my ego wants to argue with the message, but I'm going to deliver the message to you because my ego is irrelevant here. So listen, you have your inheritance comes from the divine I heard the divine counsel, the divine team. Your inheritance comes from the Lord, the capital Lord. And if you hunt that word down all the way through its origination, it is Lord, which is like the memra, which is like the divine flow of. Oh man, there's so much coming. I really hope you stick around. What's good? Brittany Sunshine here with Seed Soil Water, where we align with divine revelation for deeper roots and brighter blooms. I wrote something down that's now coming to mind. Here's the journey journal. Check it out on Amazon if you're interested. Let me see if I wrote it down here or in my other book, which is right over there. I might have to pause this because listen, the point is that the life force flow, the chi, I believe, is, it's called the memra, it's called the quantum field, it's called the Lord, Lord. It is the essence of the creator's DNA, the essence of the life force that is flowing through what we quantify as light and sound particles. We know that the electrons are literally observing consciousness and doing the bidding thereof. And that's why we as humanity here have dominion and we've been given dominion. And the crazy tug of war that is happening between revelation and lack thereof is what our souls came here to do. We came here to be a part of the tug of war in order to bring light and transform this realm with the frequency that resides within us, our soul, our divine core soul blueprint that is unique to us. And I'm not going to try and find that right now because the message is already flowing. And so what I want to say is that the anchor here is inner peace. The anchor of this message is that inner peace is your portion. And okay, and so earlier, separately, I just kind of had a drop about how your inheritance is from the Lord, like that scripture. Holy mackerel. That scared me. And okay, so your inheritance is from the Lord. Sorry if that was loud. Hopefully you're awake. Your inheritance is from the Lord. And I don't know about you, but if you've been through it, like the way that a lot of us has, there's times where it's like, what does that even mean? And what are we talking about? What inheritance? How much in the 3D is that what it is? And or is that just spiritually? Is it a spiritual inheritance? Is it a physical inheritance? How much of this 3D world really are we going to be able to pull through from the revelatory space of our spiritual existence? And so as I was preparing this message, one of the first cards that came out here was Activated Earth. Power places, ley lines, trust where you're led. And that totally reminded me, it pinged me back to this when I just heard the other day about how my inheritance is from the Lord. And it also, the ley lines here reminded me of the scripture about the lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. And I had to look it up. I could not remember. I know that scripture, but I didn't remember the address. It's Psalm 16 for the record. And Spirit had me get out my giant study Bible that is super, like, I'm talking, this is the thing where I'm gonna cry. I just saw some notes from, okay, focus. So this is the love relationship that I had for several years, and I used to bring this with me everywhere I went. I was such a Bible nerd. O Lord, you are the portion of my inheritance and my cup. You maintain my lot. The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. Yes, I have a good inheritance. And so it's wild because I did not remember that an inheritance was mentioned in this particular scripture, I just remember the part about like the lines in terms of the land. So the lines are, from what I recall, let me read real quick. Portion and lot and boundary lines and inheritance are terms usually used to describe the land promised to Israel. But the idea that God himself is the true inheritance rather than the land was a promise specifically to Aaron and his sons. Here the concept is expressed more generally as true for anyone who is among God's people. And so this has to do with, well, and then once you start studying quantum physics and understanding the quantum realm, which is like the tiniest particle, and we understand that spiritual is the origination, and the physical is the projection of the spiritual. It reminds me of like a projector, where like the picture's really over here, and then the light is pushing against the picture and it puts it up onto the screen or the wall, and that is what we're experiencing in the 3D. But really the reality of our lives is actually what's in the spiritual realm, the picture of the spiritual, which is why shadow work is so important. Shout out to Rejuvenate. Check the links below if you're interested in figuring out what I'm talking about. You have to clear the picture here in order to get a new projection in the 3D world. It's kind of like a 3D printer. What you put in is what you get out, and it's an important process that was made available to us through the work of the Spirit, and that's what we tap in, and it allows us to do that. Inner peace is the anchor here, okay? And then these three, and then, yeah, it's so funny. Every time I pull out this deck, the Seer card comes out, the Seer. And then the next two that came out were Tiger and Boosted. I'm noticing the stripes. A tiger, isn't there a phrase, a tiger cannot change its stripes? Yeah, that's interesting. And so it is something to note that there are people who are here that have chosen to be reprobate, and they just won't change. So like, it's one of those things. I think when I grew up in such grace-filled religion, I thought everybody would eventually do the thing. And it's like, not everybody will do the thing. Like, that's not everyone's path. Okay, so the spring, which is so interesting because I thought of this as the season, but notice she's actually like being submerging and touching a spring as in water. Okay, so I'm just delivering the message, and I'm going to allow the Spirit to kind of weave it together as we go. Another card that came out here was the number 20, Awakening, Renewal, Enlightenment. So 222 might be something that's relevant. 20, Awakening, Renewal, and Enlightenment. And then we also have here, Wait. It's not yet time, things are being woven. And I don't know about you, but that's very much, it's weird for how many planets are in Aries, yet the sun isn't in Aries right now, which is really wild. About to be. We have an Aries new moon coming up. But it very much feels like this crazy, like intense energy, and yet at the same time, like restlessness. And so I was encouraged that this card came out because things are being woven, okay? Things are being woven like behind the scenes is what I felt like. And then this scripture about Psalm 16 about, "O Lord, you are the portion of my inheritance and my cup. You maintain my lot. The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. Yes, I have a good inheritance." Okay, I'm going to leave that part there. Okay, so then we have divine order now governs your life, and so into it. Which, here we have activated earth, ley lines, power places, trust where you're led, divine order governs your life. There's all of these, and then firm up your foundation. There are all of these messages related to like the earth, and so maybe earthing is going to be really profitable right now, as in like put your feet in the grass and the soil, touch touch a tree, take a bath, like get in the organic matter that was created by the creator, because and cleanse, do a cleanse, do some spiritual hygiene. Once again, rejuvenate is a great option for that. Sacred geometry. Wow. Okay, so I was just seeing like a vision or an image of our vessels, our physical vessel bodies, like as in, and I was seeing it as if it were drawn with like pencil geometric shapes. And it's hard to explain, but it was like as if all of these shapes were coming together perfectly to create our vessel. And it had something to do with this cleanse, like as in, the spiritual cleansing that we do, the spiritual hygiene that we do, as well as like the physical hygiene, the way that we tend to our vessel and to our spiritual life, the way that we cleanse it is causing all of the things to work together in a way that probably we maybe can't even comprehend. Like we probably don't realize how important it is to have to be hydrated and to ground and to reset our internal magnetic field. It's like it's more important now than ever to find your baseline and to do everything you can to like maintain your baseline, because your soul tribe is looking for you, counting on you to evaporate the darkness, because the light, this is making so much more sense. Okay, here we go. So the light evaporates the darkness. That scripture where it's like the light is and the darkness can't comprehend it. So we are just like how like a diamond or a gem or a crystal, the light comes through it and then it shoots it out. We are light beings that refract. Is that the word? Refract the light. I don't even know if that's the right word. I'm just flowing. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so we refract the light, and that oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. When remember how I said I was just seeing this vision of with the sacred geometry card, how I was seeing it like it was like a drawing, like a sketch of like with a pencil of like a human body, but it was like as if it was all of these geometric pieces connected. And it's making so much sense now, because what I'm hearing or what I'm seeing is like then the light fractals come through the geometric being, which is us, and we then refract the light into our environment in a way that we probably don't even realize. And that's why the cleansing matters, because when we're mucked up spiritually and mucked up emotionally and mucked up with our charge that gets like, and when I say our charge, I'm talking like we all carry a frequency or like a magnetization charge. And so if we're all mucked up by all of this inorganic matter that we consume via all the different ways that things we interact in our environment, that's why grounding matters, like earthing, and trying to get our internal frequency as close to baseline and maintaining baseline as much as possible, because little do we know we're like these light refractors. We're refracting the light, like literally spiritually, and it's sending out signals. It's emitting signals. And like we talked about in the beginning, the electrons are actually reading us. And so when we're trying to manifest and yet our frequency is messed up, which is throwback to another message where we were talking about, it was a message where I was wearing a white top and a headband. So go check that message out. I think it's called You Need a Tune-Up, because in that message we were talking about like being mucked up and like the magnet not being able to stick. I was just losing my train of thought. That's why I was trying to pull it. Yeah, so we have to ground, we have to maintain our core soul's frequency. Okay, here it is. Because there's a card that I have here where it's like using your formula, but they don't have your frequency, or something, your formula, but not your frequency. It's like we have a formula blueprint on our life spiritually, and the divine is here to assist us in like pulling it through and birthing it through us. And really, our job, our greatest job, is just to like learn how to maintain the baseline in order to be a neutral vessel that allows for like the light to refract through us. And the wild part is that we are here in this crazy realm. We're here in this crazy realm where like, you know, like it's dirty, and there's wounding, and like, you know, things happen. Like, it's not this perfect realm, and the things that come against us are making us stronger, and the things that, you know. But here's the thing, that idea of like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's like a tagline that is not true by itself. Because the weight of wounding and the weight of the dirt, and, you know, imagine like a windshield that gets all this dirt off from a dirty road and a rainy storm, and the dirt is flying up, and like mud, you know, like, or maybe it's not a rainy storm. Maybe it's just dusty, like a dusty desert. It's like, if you don't have windshield wipers to clean that off, it's just too hard to see now, and you can't see in front of you. And that's really what it is. Like, and let's say you hurt your foot and you never tend to it, or both of your feet, whatever, one or both. The point is, when you never tend to your wounding, like, it doesn't just magically go away. Typically, it piles up. Typically, let's say if you hurt one foot, now the other foot has to work way harder, throws your hips out of alignment because you're compensating. One of your legs is stronger. The other leg muscles start to just like turn off. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when we don't tend to our life, and when we don't tend to our inner wounds. And how many know, like, if you have a wound that like has been sore for a while and you didn't tend to it, and then you go deal with it, and it is like, it was really hard at first. It's a lot more painful right then than it is like, it gets worse before it gets better kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that we are that the better choice then is to just hobble along. I've literally watched people hobble along until they die, and it's like, what a waste, when we know that there are ways actually to heal. And, you know, and I also want to tell you, not everybody has a mission like that. In you know, some people's life timelines are not to do that. Like, some people are not called, and you will know if you're called because it follows you around and it never leaves you alone, and you feel this pull to keep going, even if you are tired, and even if you don't like it, and even if you are sore. So anyway, once again, Rejuvenate is like the starting point here for anyone if you're interested, if you feel the call from my path, through my path, check out Rejuvenate. Right now it's on sale for this month only because of my birthday. You can use birthday 39 for the price to be 39 as a celebration for its launch. And otherwise it's $4.97. And there are payment plans, and there's Klarna and like Afterpay or whatever those are all called. So there's ways to do it if you don't catch it in the window where it's on sale. There are some scholarships available as well, so you can reach out to me if you're interested. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Sorry. I just realized that the spring. So it's funny because we talked about cleansing. We're talking about firming up your foundation. We're talking about sowing into your the divine order that's governing your life. We talked about how your ley lines have fallen in pleasant places. Yes. And sorry, the message is all culminating, coming together. What I'm remembering is when that scripture randomly came to me about how my my lines fall in pleasant places. Spirit was showing me like spiritually, like all the ways that like my life has been blessed despite everything that has come up against me, and how everything led to the next revelation. And like the richness of revelation is far more glorious than like the wealth that the world can offer, because that is so, you know, money just burns, like you know what I'm saying? But like internal restoration is the most expensive. And a bumblebee just came by the way, so but bees may be significant on your path, and that might be something, the way to know that this message is for you. And also tigers. But, you know, the internal restoration and the internal reset that you experience by doing spiritual hygiene and shadow work is literally the most And do you see me itching my nose, by the way? I don't know if you noticed that, but I've been itching my nose this whole time, which is also usually a signal of, signal of the channel. And like, this is such a message. So we've been talking about sacred geometry, and the whole anchor here is inner peace. When I was shuffling earlier, because I don't like, I always want my cards to be random and fresh. I don't want it to be just like, oh, all the same cards that came out the last time. And this inner peace card, I don't even know how it happened. But it flew up in the air so high that it like hit the mic and came down. It was like literally flying out of the pile. And I was like, okay, got it, like that. And it was very clear, like, that's the anchor of this message. And like, so inner peace is your portion. It's the goal for you. And it's possible despite all of the crazy things that are happening in the 3D. And this idea of the lines have fallen to you in pleasant places. That's what Spirit was showing me. Like, look at all the ways that I've made your life pleasant despite the madness, like despite the realm, despite the wounding, despite the dirt, despite everything, like somehow the Spirit has a way of making it pleasant. And here's the thing too. As I was in my exercise class, Spirit was talking to me about how like the narrow way, like in the narrow gate, and I was just thinking about how like, it really is such a narrow way and a narrow gate. And because this is why. Oh, here it is. Because the real work is not done in a big church. The real work is not done in like group activities. The work is done with you and the Spirit. Like you and the Spirit, you and you and you. You versus you versus you. Your high self, your current self, Spirit of the Most High, like that is where the rubber meets the road. That is where, like, for me, that's my development spiritually has always been in that secret place. It's not been in front of other people. It's not been in religion. It was, it was always just me and this giant Bible, for years and years and years of reading it and studying it. And then also evolving into realizing like, just like they can change some things like from 19, remember how they changed some things right in front of our eyes? There have been some things changed here, and that's why the Spirit is your teacher, because you got to know that. So back to this message though, and the whole cleansing, and the sacred geometry of water right now. Oh, remember. So you remember how like we have to remember that everything everything here is spiritual. And so we bless our water, we bless our food, we bless our plants. And I want to read you the spring card, which talks about many waterfalls and springs flow around the maiden. Water is a healing symbol, as the springs bring life-sustaining nutrients to every living creature, both sick and healthy. Just that water is life. Allow water to cure you, release your emotions and anxieties. And like I said, I was saying, take a bath. And the number here is 13, which reduces to 4. So we have 2, 3, 4 now. 2, 3, 4. We have this awakening card with the peacock. So there's another animal that which totally, I don't know about you, but if you look at this, the way that the peacock's feathers look, it reminds me of like a bride's dress. And also like the top of the peacock looks like, is that a peacock? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously it's not the same colors, but it looks like that. Anyway, tell me if I'm wrong, if you think it's something else. I guess I could technically find out, but let me finish this message before we lose it. So you are a seer. And yeah, this is such confirmation that this card came out, the activated earth. You are here to activate certain light codes into the earth spiritually through the Spirit of life that resides within you. That's why Yeshua was like, greater things you're going to do than what I did. Everybody's like, what? And also, I don't know where it was. When I was reading this, we were talking about, oh yeah, I got it here. I'm going to read it. So this is Psalm 16 earlier on in the passageway. Their sorrows shall be multiplied. They're talking about the ones who hasten after another god. Their drink offerings of blood I will not offer, nor take up their names on my lips. And this reminds me of nothing new under the sun in terms of how many of us know about the things and the people who who that you got to look like who do that with Blood. And remember how Yeshua before Yeshua went, he's like, you guys are going to eat my flesh and drink my blood. And they were like, what? Because, and what's interesting about that, and it's still just a mystery, what do you think? Because that was very controversial for, because the whole time he's talking about how like we don't need to be doing that, even though that was practices and very normal practices for certain people groups of that time and before, where they did sacrifices like that. And so when he said that, he lost a lot of people because they didn't understand. They saw the surface level of what he was saying, and they did not know if his core frequency was pure or not. And that was like this breaking point where a lot of the people broke off, and and he was like to his disciples that stuck around, he's like, aren't you guys gonna head out? And they're like, where are we gonna go? We're way too deep in this. We're so far deep in this, like there's nowhere we can go. We're already all the way in this with you. Okay. And the reason that's coming to mind right now, Spirit's saying, is because a lot of you feel like that. Like you feel like, where could I even go? Like, where would I even go? How could I even turn back? Like, I'm so far deep with the Spirit on my path. Like, the only option is forward, despite whether it appears to be working like toward anything or not. And so, to wrap up this message, you are here on purpose. You are activating earth light codes for a reason. Divine order is governing your life. Firm up your foundation, especially in your own hope, and give yourself that pep talk that you need, because the light that you carry evaporates the darkness. And it's one of those things. Have you ever, how do I explain this? Have you ever been like carrying a lantern or something really bright, and it's like you don't even realize how much it is illuminating the darkness because you're like behind the light. You don't even realize how dark it is right there because you have the light like projecting from you. So it's like you don't even realize how much your light is evaporating the darkness of everywhere you go. And that spirit of light that you carry is causing the lines to fall to you in good places spiritually, and therefore in the 3D as well, even if you don't feel like you've seen the culmination. But remember that you're a sacred geometry vessel, and it is important to clear out your vessel with spiritual hygiene practices to allow, like, do the shadow work, do the healing work, go in and face your inner darkness, go in and face your inner wounding, so that you can then be a fully cleansed geometric diamond, that is refracting the light codes that you've been sent here to carry in an effective way. Because your soul tribe is looking for you, and also like they're depending on the light codes that you're going to release however you do it. It might be through art, it might be through writing, it might be through dance, it might be through teaching. However it is that you do it, like people are going to be depending on you. And like in the beautiful symphony of all of us, like each of us, it's important that we play the instrument of our life effectively and continuously. And that doesn't mean that you don't rest, because sometimes you do rest and you do wait, knowing, this card came up, knowing, wait, it's not yet time. Things are being woven. Things are being woven together in the background. And so we follow the nudge every time it comes. We allow ourselves to rest, knowing that that is indeed the abundance. And that's one of those ways that when you have the flexibility to rest and you're tired, take the rest, because that is a portion. That's a portion of your inheritance as a light worker. It's a portion of your inheritance as made in the image of God. That's what you get to do. And inner peace is indeed your portion, and it is a right. It's an inheritance that you get to choose to employ every single day of your life, no matter what's going on around you. And as we anchor in from that inner peace place, that allows us to quantum intercept. Whoa, I meant quantum intercess, but quantum intercept. It's like I'm seeing, what is that scripture about, like the darts of the enemy? Wow. Okay, I gotta review. What did I just say? So I said something about when you take that rest and when you choose to employ the peace that is your portion, it allows you to quantum intercept the darts, the darts of evil, like the darts of the enemy. And so what I'm seeing now is kind of like the way that, like, remember the scripture about how it confuses the enemy's camp? So it's like there's so many layers as to why it's so important for us to do our inner healing work, to maintain our peace, to anchor into our divine identity. And I feel like every message just comes through about that more and more and more. So thank you all for the hypes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the birthday gifts. You genuinely are a wonderful part of this path, and I'm so grateful you're here. And I pray that this message reaches who it's for, and drop a 222 below if you made it this far in the video. And I'll catch you in the next one. Be blessed, be well, stay free, yo.